Okay, it's time to start. Hope that you can hear me well. You should see the slides. People are still connecting, but let's begin. As we have a lot of topics to see today. First of all, a bit of introductions about who we are. I'm Sergi Arcas. I'm CSV Technical Manager at Rephine, with 25 years of experience in GXP in multiple topics like CSV projects under almost all regulations, also IT infrastructure qualifications and governance, data integrity policies, data integrity risk assessment, remediation plans. And I have also participated in artificial intelligence, machine learning implementation projects, and also helping companies in preparing policies regulating that kind of systems. Also, as part of my work as consultant, I am doing third-party audits to API, finished products, excipients, and from the IT point of view, also to suppliers, both cloud and just software suppliers, data centers, laboratory pharmacovigilance. Just for any of you that don't know us, we are Rephine. Rephine, we are a pharmaceutical consultancy company, also providing both consultancy services and also auditing, third-party auditing services. More than 25 years of experience in all the fields of health companies, so pharmaceutical, biotech, medical device, supply chains, and so on. So, how will the session today work? This is a questions and answers session. So you should have in Teams a link for questions and answer. So you can drop your questions there. We will try to group similar questions together, depending on the amount of questions. Yeah, my colleague Jaisa will do that, and then those questions will be answered live in order of popularity. Well, a bit of how many people has asked those questions, and also a bit of earlier questions will have a bit of preference, mainly because we will be able to handle them. Any questions that we cannot, we have not been able to answer in this session, or any questions that you have after the session, you can drop in the chat of this session, and we will or send an email to us, and we will try to answer them by email or by just contacting you if you need that. So you can begin posting your questions now. I just have some slides in just to create some minutes for you to create the questions, and in the meantime I will do the introduction. So what are we changing? We have during 2025 4 topics changed. We have a review of the chapter 1 about quality systems. It's a small review. We have a significant review over chapter 4 of part 1, documentation. We have a complete overhaul of Annex 11 of computerized system, and we have in fact one fully new Annex 22 about artificial intelligence. Why we have those? Mainly because Emma has finally noticed that we are really fast evolving in documentation, that the documentation is electronic, that the systems are getting more and more complex, then it's really necessary to ensure that data integrity principles, that you should remember that EMA does not have a guidance about that, it just has a questions and answer, should be incorporated in regulation. So it's trying to ensure that documentation remains accurate, complete, and legible in paper, digital, and hybrid forms, even though you don't like hybrid formats. They want to strengthen controls for computerized system from design to operation, quality, supplier oversight in the sense of quality system. And we are in the artificial intelligence time nowadays. Systems are beginning to be implemented. As I said, I have participated in just a few of them. So they need to regulate that part. We have a few milestones for that. In July 2025 appeared the consultation for Chapter 4, Annex 11, Annex 22. Chapter 1 appeared a bit later. There was a time for comments. And according to the normal, because there's nothing really written, normal timings in EMA, we expect to have something, a final version by mid-2026. I don't expect a lot of problems with Annex 22 or Chapter 4, Chapter 1. Annex 11, I think, and according to the conversation I've been having during all this time, there has been a lot of comments about that. They will, of course, provide some buffer time for enforcement of those regulations. Just a bit, really quick summary, because I really want to focus on questions and answers about main changes. So we have Chapter 4. We have expanded definition of documentation formats. It's not just a paper electronic. Now we have everything, including video or anything that you may have. It's more focused in electronic records. It already appeared in previous Chapter 4, which was from, I think, 2011, that was updated just to include more topics about electronic information. Now it's more important. It talks about a life cycle governance. Previous Chapter 4.
Contract again.
Had someone. Previous Chapter 4 was more descriptive about this and this. Here, this Chapter 4 has a bit more about philosophy of having a life cycle, a governance of the data about during all the life cycle, with risk-based applied to all that documentation control. It has some new sections, one about data integrity, which is good, includes what we already know about data integrity. We have a new section for signatures, which I think it's just putting in paper the current practices, but now will be regulations, having SOP for signatures, having a controlled documentation, a registration of signatures, linking them to the people, enforcing the role that you are signing something. It also has a section for hybrid systems, which is at some point a bit contradictory, because they say that they don't want signatures in hybrid systems, which is contradictory with, for example, Part 11, FDA Part 11. We have a new section for hybrid systems, just for managing that, and it's talking about disposal and retention of records. For Chapter 1, the changes have been small. They are mainly emphasizing a bit of product quality review about trending. I think that they expect to have more information from trending, which is normal because now we have more and more data. So it's regulating that a bit more, but mainly they are focusing on emphasizing the risk management, which was already there, but now it's much more described in this new section, in this new chapter. Annex 11, as I said, we have a really big change from the existing one. Existing one, I think that the real regulation part, it was about 5 pages. Now we have a lot of them. So we have much more detail. We have quality risk management integration. Of course, we need to ensure that risk management is taken into account with computerized system in all the life cycle, from requirement definition, implementation, change controls, everything. So this approach of not having any kind of risk control is not acceptable. It was not already, but now it's much more clear. Regarding system requirements definition, well, we need to have requirement. That's something that we already know, but we have much more detailed in the sense that, for example, we cannot say that my requirements are supply requirements. No, we need to take ownership. We need to keep them updated. They need to be clear. They need to be fully traceable. This was already expected with traceability matrix. Now it's much more clear here. Annex 11 is requiring detailed testing. This is something that surprised me a bit because it goes against CSA approach by FDA, which was saying that, well, low risk functionalities, you may have unscripted testing. EMA is saying that all the tests should be reproducible, should have instructions to reproduce the testing. It has much more control over vendors and service providers. We already know that they need to be qualified. So it's now providing more detail about having qualification, having auditees, having them audited, having access to the documentation in case of inspection, more detail about what we need to have in the contract with them. It's talking more about software as a service, a bit more about cloud. It's talking also about audit trail data integrity. Nothing really new, everything was already taken into account in the Alcoa Plus principles. Audit trail, it's important. It's not talking about modifications to electronic records, but it's talking about any human action over a system should be audit trailed. Daytime with time zone should contain reason of change for all the changes. The topic that we have in the previous Annex 11 about risk-based audit trail disappears. Now we have full audit trail with all the rings and bells. So everything. We have periodic review. This is something that we already had, but now we have much more detail about what is expected. Even they increased the requirements. I should say that GAMP 5 guide is still having more requirements than Annex 11. Security requirements. Here we have a fully revamped part. They are highly concerned about cybersecurity. So they have added here, which I think could be a fully separated annex about cybersecurity. We need to have, we cannot have outdated system. We need to have good patching system. We need to have password complexity, which I hope more than expect. They will rethink about that because they are even asking that you cannot use dictionary words. The system will check dictionary words cannot be used. I haven't seen anything like that, a system doing that. We need to keep track of all the actions that user accesses, users exiting, automated log and log. One curious thing here in security is that they don't accept that situation a lot of companies have nowadays, that a user is logged for 15 or 30 minutes and then it's automatically unlocked. No, this is no longer supported. It must be admin after verifying. There's no problem. We have also Part 11, electronic signatures updated. Now they are fully aligned with Part 11. They are requiring, as a curiosity, that the position is included in the signature, additionally to the full name and so on. It's also talking about signatures in the hybrid system, mainly to say that you need to have mechanisms to invalidate signatures in paper if the electronic record has changed. This is a bit contradictory with that chapter 4, which is saying that you should not sign hybrid ways. Let's see how that works. We have a full new section for alarms management in control systems. So how to manage them, how to acknowledge them, how to keep track of them, review of alarms, exportable alarms, and so on. And finally, it talks about backup and restore, some clarification about testing, some clarification about how to keep backup data totally isolated physically and logically. Honestly speaking, the physically isolated is something reminds me of the tapes time, where you had someone taking the tapes outside Now everybody's just doing backup in another disk, but this should be separated physically, but also logically. It's a problem of cybersecurity. Fourth annex that we are talking today is Annex 22 about artificial intelligence. It's really simple annex for what it has to manage some interesting things. First of all is the restrictions that EMA considers that generative or evolving systems cannot be used in GMP. So you cannot use ChatGPT, which I wouldn't recommend anyway. It's mainly focused, GMP can only be used, you can only use artificial intelligence, machine learning, static models. So they are models that you can implement, verify, and they keep running consistently during all the time. And if you need to update them, improve them, okay, you repeat the process. So some topics that we have in this Annex 22, we have definition that we need to implement or define intended use. So what's the intended use of the model? But intended use, of course, is a GMP related intended use. From that part, you need to do a model training and validation. Here we have a lot of requirements about data. Data should be unbiased, should cover all the scope of operation of the model. You should clearly segregate the part of testing, the testing data from the training data, even not even logically, but it even talks about the fact that you need to hide the training, the testing data to the people doing the training, just to ensure that they are not, let's say, doing manual adjustments to fulfill just the testing data. After, of course, this validation should have some statistics and predefined acceptance quality levels. After validating it, you need to have performance monitoring with oversight, mainly because AI systems may have drifting because data changes. Mainly the model does not change because you have it frozen, but the data has changed. You might have more data. So they can drift, something you need to monitor. You need to keep them under change management, under change control process. And it's curiously says that even the artificial intelligence system is providing, let's say, answers for critical processes. There's the need of having a man in the middle, just reviewing and confirming that the decisions of the AI are fine. So they are not accepting something like my AI will decide if my batch is correct or not. No, they can give you a clue, but if it's a critical process, you must take ownership of the decision. Okay, I did these small introductions just mainly to give time for you to ask questions. So I would like to know if we have questions already.
I said yes, we have some split questions because we are some in the Q&A chat and we have in the chat of the session another. But if you want, I will start reading the Q&A chat.
Okay.
We start with the question like Mikhail asked. It's the following. Do you know to what extent the FDA is using AI to evaluate new drugs applications and what approach they are using to validate this AI system and to what extent?
If FDA is using AI to evaluate drug applications, I'm not aware of that. I have not seen any paper about seeing any kind of AI used by FDA for that. No, honestly speaking, I'm not aware of any use of AI in that sense.
Okay. We can continue with the previous question. When it comes to black box AI models, to what extent are inspectors expecting demonstrable awareness and preparedness today? Specifically, what evidence will they reasonably expect to see during an inspection?
Okay, yeah. So black box AI model, I understand we are talking about machine learning models where we don't have an algorithm. So here, what we need is, first of all, we need to define, as I said, an intended use, and we need to define our threshold, our acceptability threshold. That means let's take, for example, we have a system that it's looking images of an eye, of a retina of an eye, to detect a problem. This will be more medical device, but the process is the same. Then we need to establish, for example, a threshold saying that the system will detect a glaucoma or something like that 95% of the times. Then in your preparation of the model and in your evaluation of the model, the inspector will expect to have first evidence that your data is unbiased and it's correct and has been correctly managed. Evidence that your testing data has never been used for training. And finally, when doing the testing session, testing process in your life cycle, this is a life cycle, it's explained also in GAN 5. When doing that testing, you should do the statisticals to demonstrate that the system is really fulfilling your minimum quality level, the quality level that you have established. Inspectors may also want to see what are you doing for following the performance, or doing the follow-up of the performance of that AM, of that machine learning system.
Okay, we continue. Is there any preferred type of AI model platform for use in a GMP environment?
No. Regulations that not they don't say anything about any specific platform. You can almost everybody is using cloud platforms. Amazon is fine. We don't have anything special. What it's important is not the model platform. It's more about handling the data. This is more. You should be more conscious about that part.
Okay. The next question is, what would be the best approach for auditing an AI in a GMP environment?
Okay. Auditing. It's a bit what I have said. It's when we have told what inspectors may expect to find, it's what we expect to find when we're doing an audit in a GMP environment. So I would, if I need to do that, when I need to do that, I would say I would go there. I would expect to have some kind of life cycle for the AI implementation. I would expect to have in that life cycle expected intended use, the threshold, the data management, the testing, the statistics, the report. There's one thing it goes a bit beyond the artificial intelligence part, but we should not forget about this one. Main part of the system systems contain just the AI algorithm that is surrounded by, let's say, a classical pieces of software. And we should take into account that, especially in Europe, we are very, very conscious about personal data. So if you are using your system with personal data, you need to have especially caution of that. Sorry, going outside of the topic. So I was saying just that additionally to the AI elements that I have said, I would also expect to have validation of all the surrounding elements that allow those artificial intelligence elements to work in the GMP environment. So just don't focus on GMP and then having problems with the environment.
Okay. What should we expect from the qualifications evaluation of these 80 suppliers?
80 suppliers. Expect from the qualification evaluation. I understand this question about what we need to do in the qualification evaluation of IT suppliers. So in that sense, first of all, we need to do a bit of risk ranking. So it's nice to have all the suppliers audited. Acknowledge at some points low criticality suppliers, you may just send a questionnaire. This is covered in new Annex 11. This questionnaire, I would say that it's okay for just, let's say, classical suppliers. They provide you a software and that's it. Anything that is software as a service, suppliers that are providing a continuous service, you need to audit them. When you audit them, things that you need to check. First of all, quality system. They should have a quality system. And here I would like to say something about this topic. They are not pharma companies. Some people go and say, your quality system must be a pharma quality system, and that's not fully true. They are IT suppliers. They are not pharma companies. They should have something. Normally, they have an ISO 9001 or similar. This is first topic. If they are developing software, they need to have a suitable life cycle with procedures. Normally, they develop software using agile model, not waterfall model. We should adapt. Nobody is forced to use waterfall model nowadays. But in any case, we need to check that they are defining requirements, they are creating specifications, they are testing requirements. And for me, the key point is that they have a release process where possible, managed by someone that it's not the one developing the system. Even the testing should be done by a second person. This is from a development point of view. Then from a service providing, we need to check 2-3 main things. First thing is about security, segregation of data. How do they know that their facilities, their system is secure? And we are not talking about the logical security of the system, but facilities, cloud elements that they have, how they ensure that our data is properly segregated from other data. This is the part of security. We have another part that it's really relevant, is backup and recovery. I expect them to show me a recovery process, documented recovery process. And of course, in our service level agreement, we will have a requirement of having annual evidence of that recovery process. And yeah, and other than that is just a bit of oversighting or evaluating if they are really able to keep the system running in the sense of having enough resources or normally they have everything in cloud, so this is not a problem. And I forgot one thing, we need to talk with them and check with them as part of the security, all the elements related to threats, security, so patching processes, how they evaluate if we have menaces, cybersecurity topics, and patching evidence. Other than that, it's not part of the audit, but more about the SLA. It's about how do they manage new releases, how will they allow you to test before implementing. Okay, next one.
Did you are mute?
Sorry about that.
If you want, CD, I will. Yes, because
yes, maybe Jaisa, you can continue. Just.
I'm here. Sorry, I was logged in twice because I was doing the holding screen earlier. Okay, sorry about that. So we have a question from Dr. Max Farmer, and he says, I have a question, please. How would you approach validation of AI feature within QMS software?
Validation of AI inside QMS software.
Yes.
We have one. What's the purpose of? First question I would say is, what's the purpose of that AI? Because if that artificial intelligence is generative in the sense that it will allow you to define text or whatever, I would say that I'm sorry, that's not accepted by EMA. So other than that, you can use. I have more than seen. I have talked with companies that have artificial intelligence embedded in QMS, mostly to do an evaluation of the problems that we are having, and then, let's say, preparing or anticipating bigger problems. Both of those artificial intelligence, so artificial intelligence helping writing the QMS part, the change controls or the deviations, or the other artificial intelligence just providing early insights of problems. I would say that none of them are going to be validated as according to the restrictions that EMA is saying in Annex 22, but they can be used if you have a man in the middle. So you can use ChatGPT or whatever. It's whatever tool is used to enhance your QMS descriptions and creating better root cause analysis descriptions. But at the end, there will be a person reading that and saying, okay, I'm agree with that.
Thank you. The next one is from Vincy George. He's interested to know the impacts for cloud providers providing hosting and other services for medical, life science, and pharma industries.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes, so he's interested to know the impact for cloud providers providing hosting of other services for medical, life science, and pharma industries.
Well, any provider should. It's nothing special. So cloud providers. If you go to Amazon, of course, you will not be able to audit Amazon. So main approach for those big cloud providers is just they have a lot of papers explaining how they ensure that the data is secure, how do they ensure that the data is available. So at the end, normal approach for qualifying those big providers is just doing an evaluation of the documentation and then, accepting them. If we are going to smaller cloud providers, more than IaaS to software as a service, so moving from infrastructure to software as a service, it's a bit what I have answered before. We need to have qualification, and once you have a supplier qualified for its intended services, you should be fine.
Thank you. And just an additional part of that question was, especially when the cloud servers are not in the EU.
Yeah. Well, we know that critical data, and mostly and even more if you have any kind of personal data, should be in a safe location. This means that it should be in the in European Economic Area. This is mainly because Europe does not accept United States as a valid place. Is what we said in the past, a safe harbor. Mainly because USA government has the right of looking at the data. In that sense, cloud providers are nowadays moving and creating European specific data centers. For example, if you go to Amazon Web Services, you will notice that a new location has appeared, and it's don't remember the exact name, but it's a European location, which is located in Europe, which is managed by a separated company, legally separated company, because even in Europe, USA is able to see data from USA companies. So data should be local. We've had problems with some track and trace companies at the beginning having data in USA. I think that nowadays this is mainly solved.
Thank you. This is from Sasha. Annex 11 periodic reviews increase requirements. What kind of requirements? Maybe a full revision of audit trail.
For audit trail, well, for additional requirements of audit trail, main topics is that we have it's more, let's say, let's go from what we had in the previous Annex 11. We had just one requirement saying that you should have a risk-based audit trail in your system, and it said not more than this. This approach of risk-based audit trail has disappeared. Now the audit trail is fully aligned with Part 11, so we need to have all the components of who, when, what, and why. Annex 11 now is requiring a reason of change for all the changes. Nothing about risk-based approach. Well, this change is clear. We don't need reason of change for everything. We need to have, in fact, audit trail not of changes in electronic records, but of any action in the system. We should have also audit trails for accesses, denied accesses, automated logouts, things like that. This is the part of generating audit trail. From the part of reviewing audit trail needs to be reviewed before releasing the batch unless justified. Good thing is that Annex 11 is saying that you can do a risk-based review, but Annex 11 is saying also that you need to be able to export. The audit trail, you need to be able to search and sort audit trail to do the review, and you need also to export. You need to have the capability of exporting that audit trail also in a searchable and sortable format. So it's a bit of gathering of what we already had in the data integrity guidances that we have been seeing in those few years, but now we have that fully embedded in a regulation.
Thank you. This one's from Darren. Are they expecting all alarms to be reviewed as part of the batch release?
They are expecting all critical alarms to be reviewed as part of the batch release, yes. They don't say how to do that. And sometimes I think they really have not seen a real list of alarms in a batch, because in a control system you have a lot of alarms. I would say, or my approach to that would be, you need to review all the critical alarms. So that means that you have in your manufacturing processes critical parameters linked with critical quality attributes. You should be able to do an export and sorting alarms and so on. So my approach would be, okay, let's take the critical, so not just the high, but the high alarm for the critical parameters, and those elements are the ones that I would focus, because all the alarms should appear, all of them, all the critical ones should be acknowledged and so on. The review should be done in a risk base, or nobody will be able to complete that.
Thank you. We have 5 minutes left, so I don't know if there's any more questions in the live Q&A. There's some more in the chat. So I don't know if there's any new ones in the Q&A that we might want to review. But just to say, before I ask the next question, is that if we can't get back to everyone in this session, we will get back to you. So please don't think we won't answer your question. So I'll just go for one more in here then, and I think that would be it. For suppliers, sorry, I've asked that one. For vendor management of GMP contractors, is EMA expecting all vendors to vendor be asked if they are using AI for any GMP processes, and should this be described in the quality agreement?
I have not seen anything about that in the new regulations. In any case, is what I say. GMP contractors.
Okay.
So we are talking. No, I have not seen anything special about in regulations. In any case, if they are GMP contractors, you will audit, and as part of the processes, you should be able to detect that.
Thank you. I think. Just check.
We have some 3 questions in Q&A chat. If
Do you want to
we
take
can,
them?
yes, we can read another one if you want. We have a question from Dr. Hill regarding cybersecurity. It is acceptable to connect a GMP manufacturing system computer to Windows Server Active Directory in the organization?
Absolutely, yes. It is acceptable. In fact, I know a lot of systems, and it's nowadays a common practice. Active Directory is a secure security system which help you to have a centralized password and also setting global policies in your domain. That Active Directory can be local, can be in the cloud also. Of course, if it's in the cloud, you need to have some kind of qualification. Yeah, there's no problem.
Okay, we continue with the question from Elizabeth. As you say, the new draft are becoming more prescriptive, restrictive. So that risk-based validation, CSA thinking, is at risk of being rolled back?
As I said, the approach is totally different. So I don't think CSA is going to be rolled back because it's already enforced. So this is a EMA is draft and CSA is effective regulation. Effective guidance. They are issued by different health authorities. So this is a bit of, I would say, way of thinking of the different health authorities. FDA has been always a bit more risk-focused, apply risk-based, and do focus on whatever you think is risky. It's your responsibility, and it will be your fault if something goes wrong. While EMA has always been much more descriptive about you need to have this and that and that. So they don't like that CSA approach about, for example, we have a clear statement in the new Annex 11 saying that we should have test scripts with enough methodology so they can be repeated. This is totally against CSA of and unscripted parts. So I don't think it's going to be rolled back. I think that there's some kind of different approaches with the two health authorities. The problem is that probably if you need to fulfill both of them, you will go for the more restrictive, and in this case will be EMA.
Okay, Sergi, if you want, we can read the remind question that we have in the chat. The last question will be from Marcel. We use Copilot 365 as assistant for GXP audits. Example, support of the preparations and report creation of GXP audits for our different company, affiliates, and external suppliers. For this, we apply a formal categorization of criticality of AI-generated output of results and define different review and approval requirements. Audit reports, for example, are reviewed in detail by relevant people and just as before electronically approved. Could there be any amendments of the approach regarding Annex 22?
No, your process is fine. So, in fact, you're using Copilot, or you can use any other AI tool, but you are not. You're using that as just as an assistant. It's not taking any decision. It's just helping you to write better audit reports or preparing the audit. But at the end, you are the one reviewing the text, saying that the text is fine, and approving the text and approving the report. So the situation is fine. In fact, this use of Copilot or any other tool will not fall under Annex 22. Annex 22 is mainly focused for machine learning that it's providing decisions for your manufacturing processes or something like that. In this case, you are just having that as an assistant.
Thanks, Sergi. We read all the questions.
Okay. Is also the chat fine?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I think we have already finished with the allocated time. In that sense, just a bit of if you have any follow-up questions, you want any additional topic to be discussed, you have here on the screen, you have my email. You can also contact my colleague Jordi, that and any of us will answer your question and provide the help if necessary.
Thank you, everyone. We will be sending you our the recording as well via email.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.